everybody, it's Matt here. It is Saturday morning and I'm out to take care of the birds. And like I said, I'm Matt. If you guys are new to our channel, here on Pumpkin Ridge, we were up in north coastal Maine, beautiful Washington County. And we have been renovating an old farmhouse and farm, and come along and see what we're up to. Today I am going to, before I let all the birds out, I'm going to move their fence. I've been saying I'm going to move their fence for weeks. And today's the day because it's been a little muddy. Let's see, I'm going to set my camera up here. All right, so all my birds are surrounded by this electric poultry netting, which I have not turned the electricity on all summer. It is what it is. So, pretty easily, you just plop them right out of the ground here. Bundle them up. And we're gonna move them. I think I'm gonna move them from here. I think I'm gonna go straight across to the coop. So let's just loosely stick them because this is gonna be a pain because they tangle pretty easy if you're not on top of it. I'm already tangling them. There we go. All right, so we'll start over here by the coop. All right, so I have moved the first panel over here to the front of the coop. So I've been having an issue with everyone escaping lately, which has been fine. Oh, I need to get on this side here. Yeah, they've been getting out because it hasn't been on. And the ducks have learned to wiggle through little spaces in the fence, or I've actually seen them go right through the netting itself. So I also saw a fox. So last week I showed you the bobcat on our security camera. This week we had a fox. So I just want to start being a little more careful with the birds. And I don't want to lose anybody. Now my neighbor's chickens roam. If you've seen them, they roam free. And they have not been, as I can't confirm, but I don't think they've been taken by any predators, but a few of them have been hit by cars, which I don't really like. I think you should take more responsibility for your animals and not let them out in the road, but that's just me. So here we go. This is hard to do. All right, we're gonna set you up again. So what I've done is I've just moved the fence from that side because in this little pen I had some elderberry bushes that I planted, but the birds have gotten in there and defoliated them. I think they might come back from the rootstock. So my goal with this is to just kind of keep moving this down, inching it over, and moving it out somewhat into the grassy area over there so the geese get some fresh grazing. I'm actually going to move this one more. Ooh, it's a windy morning. All right, so I did it. I moved the fence. I didn't film it all because it was awkward filming it all by myself out here. But I have moved it just a bit I moved it to the front part of the coop and just moved it around. in order to add this little section of nice grass over here. So the geese can come in here and mow this down for a few days, and then I'm gonna try to be more on top of moving the fence more regularly, because the grass is growing very slow now, and I don't want them turning this whole thing into just mud. So they were starting to turn that into mud. So I'm trying to move them back. I think eventually I'll move them away from this area too, and just kind of rotate it around from the door of the coop out into the pasture around it. For this year at least, and then I think, who knows what will happen, but the plan for next year, it's windy today, is to maybe separate out some of the birds. I want to get the geese set up in their own thing, maybe their own place they can breed in, and probably put them with the runner ducks because they get along really well. And I don't know, we'll see. That's months away before I have to worry about that. So for the winter, everyone's staying together. And we'll try to keep this from turning into a mud pit. Oh, I didn't show. Oh, fresh water, clean water. I didn't do my ASMR pouring water. Oops. All right, let's go open the door and let these babies out. I'm late. I'm late. They could hear me out here and they were not happy with me. Oh. There we go. Got 3 little locks on this door just in case. All right. Everybody out. I had dumped a pile of kitchen scraps over there, so the chickens found that pretty quick. Yes! Everybody out? And I still have a few of these girls up here on this perch. Now I find that if I go in there while they're up there, they'll fly out and hit me. Come on out. There you go. Am I safe? I got one left. Don't land on my head. Oh, hello. Noodle Soup. He has been not bothering me for weeks and weeks. He's been leaving me alone. He looks like a mean son of a gun. But yeah, I have not been attacked by Noodle Soup in quite a while, so that's good. I don't know where I put my food scoop. No, we'll use this. All right, we'll have breakfast. All right, so I'm gonna feed these birds and then we're getting back in the house because we have been, oh, I'm in the dark here. Here, move it, Chicky. Here we go. We have been working on the woodwork, so we have a lot to show you with that. Breakfast is served. Oop, stepping on chickens. Yeah, we've been working on the trim and removing paint and shellacking, and it's coming out really nice. I'm pretty happy. So I've been remotivated to work on the windows. So that's what we'll be doing today when I get inside. We're gonna keep going on that. So come along and see what we're up to this week.
Hello, so I'm in the parlor and I'm finally diving into this woodwork issue that we have. And I figured I would describe what the issue is and show you my plan for approaching it and go from there. So we have in the house is this woodwork. These are the squares that a lot of people are familiar with. And on it, I mean, it's just pine squares with a cutout. So on it there's a shellac, and the shellac was put on many years ago, and it was probably a lot lighter when it was first put on, but it has darkened over the years, and it has a really nice look to it, good rich color. It shows its age, and we think it's beautiful. So we're rehabbing everything we can that looks like that, like we did with this one and we did with this one. The problem that we're having is some of it was painted, and what we have in this example is one that has, I don't know why it's not shellacked. I think it's just we haven't rehabbed this one yet. It's lost its finish. The ones that were painted are much lighter, and I think it's because they were protected from the sunlight for many years, and they didn't darken, so that when we removed the paint and the original shellac, they're much lighter. And there are a couple that are kind of in between, where they look, maybe they weren't painted for a longer period of time and they got some more sun damage. And down here we have, these are the different parts of one of the windows in the den, the room where the wood stove is. This is the piece that goes underneath the windowsill. This is the windowsill. This is the piece that goes up inside the window, and these are the two sides that hold the window in. And my plan, because none of these are the color that we need, and I've done already some samples with just shellac, and this is actually 2 coats of a new shellac, and I made it as dark as I could, very thick. Normally I do like a what is it called, a 2-pound cut, which is the concentration of the shellac crystals, which are here. And the shellac crystals are really just the excretions of an insect onto a tree that gets pulled off rather. And so I bought the darkest kind that you can buy and made it super, super thick and did 2 coats, and this is what I got. So the problem is it doesn't at all match with what we're trying to do. So what I'm doing is I've got this piece of wood that pretty closely matches several of these pieces, and then I've got another piece of wood that more closely matches a couple of the other pieces and these, so that I can mix it up. So, and the plan is I bought this aniline dye, and it comes in a variety of colors. So there's 5 different colors. There's a black and a blue. They are labeled royal blue, coal black, and then there is golden brown and sunflower yellow. The sunflower yellow is pretty bright. Most of these are so dark it's hard to see what the color they are. And then there is this fire engine red, which looks more like a deep mauve or purple. And my plan, I've put together this very elaborate chart that I will show you and explain it. So I'm doing 3 different experiments. I've got 3 different cups here, and I have the alcohol, denatured alcohol, that I'm using to dissolve the shellac. I have a premixed thing of shellac here, and I have taken and put about 1/8 of a cup into each of 3 little cups. And my plan is to take the brown dye, which is not that one, here, this one, this golden brown, and take 1/8 of a teaspoon and put it basically into each of these cups. And I'm going to leave one that way. So we'll have just 1 cup of brown. And then I'm going to put a 1/16 of a teaspoon into one of the cups so that it will be brown and red. And I'm going to do a 1/16 of a teaspoon of the sunflower yellow in one of the cups. And then I'm going to put 3 different areas onto each of these different pieces of wood before attempting to put it onto any of these pieces of wood. And the end goal is not only to get these properly tinted to match the original woodwork, but we are getting a lot of woodwork recreated, and it's probably going to be much more like this. So if I can mix up the appropriate color, I know right now that I'm only going to do the 3 samples and I might need 6 samples, but I'll start there and maybe one of them will look right on one of these and not the other, and then I'll at least have half the equation solved. So that is my plan right now. So I'm going to mask up and I'm going to measure out the samples, and I'm going to divide up the wood into areas where I can easily track where I'm putting experiments 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I have measured out into each of these 3 different jars. I've got experiment 1 with just the brown. I have experiment 2 with just the brown and the red, and then I have experiment 3 with the yellow and the brown. And I'm saying that with no confidence because I literally forgot which I put which into these 2. So I labeled them experiments 1, 2, and 3, and I guess I'm going to review the footage and find out which one I put in which. And then I'm going to rectify this list because experiment 2 was supposed to have the red. So if I did the red second, then that's experiment 2. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. I think it'll be obvious. I figured it would be more obvious. And you can be the judge about how obvious the color difference is. I mean, maybe the one this side is more red. So hopefully I got it right, and we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do now is I guess I'll just take a piece of paper towel, and I'm going to try, I never did label these. I guess it won't be very difficult to label. So I'm going to do, let's see, experiment 1 here, 2 here, and 3 there. And this has already been shellacked. I guess actually I'm going to use that because it'll keep it from absorbing in. So I'm going to do 1, 2, that's a 3, 3. Okay, so I'm just going to do it with a rag because I don't have an extra paintbrush and I don't want to waste a paintbrush. So this is experiment 1. Yeah, it doesn't really want to go in. So maybe what I'll do, doesn't absorb at all. So what I'm going to do quickly here is do another segment over here where it's not already been shellacked. So I'll have 3 experiments. That's 2. This was 1, right? Yes. So 1. And then we'll get a good idea of what works. I'm just going to do kind of a second coat because it doesn't much matter. All right. So that was the first. Now I'm going to do experiment number 2. That's this one. So 2 on this one, 2 on that one, and 2 on this one. Okay, and now experiment number 3. All right, 3 right here. Do, 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 do. 3 on this one, 3 on this one. Ooh, that's really thick. And then 3 on this one. All right, so now I'm going to show you what it looks like. First, I'll show you what it looks like. Now what I'll show you is what they look like compared to what we want it to look like. So here we can compare it to, and it hasn't dried yet, so it might be shinier, well, especially with a few more coats. We can compare it with this. So the one that already had the shellac layer on it, you can see this section here with the experiment number 3. We shall find out which one that was. Seems to look the best to me. So it gets the right finish. And it actually kind of tells me that what I want to do is have it shellacked first, because I mean, it's really giving off the exact look that we want. So that's encouraging. Well, that's not going to help us say anything. Yeah, so I guess that's great news for me, and we'll report back when I have more progress.
Piggies get their treats. They love hard-boiled eggs. Oh my gosh, here you go. Don't fight. 2 each. Oh, unless you can eat them faster. So we had a day yesterday of pouring rain all day and wind, and the sunshade started to come loose, and I didn't want the pigs to rip it up. And they don't really need it anymore this time of year. So I took the sunshade down, and I've been throwing more spent hay in here. They've been eating it up, actually. There was a lot more hay in here a few days ago. But their little house is staying nice and cozy. I don't know if you can see in there at all. They've got a huge mound of straw that they sleep on like a big mattress. Huh, why you climb on her? Ugh. Every time, you're so jealous. So yeah, pigs are good, and everything's going okay.
So we're having a hailstorm. It's just barely above a sleet storm. It's Philip's first. What do you think, Phil? Getting hit by little tiny wet balls of ice. You can see them jumping off the roof there. Well, I guess he didn't like it. Okay, so I'm here for an update. Last night we got a little carried away. We were having great success. As a quick recap, we're trying to match this woodwork, this shellac finish with the patina of 100 and some odd years of age. And one of the rooms was painted, so we've removed the paint from the older wood. And this is what we get, which is nowhere near this. And in addition, we're getting new wood made, which is probably going to have a lighter color altogether. So I've done the tests. You can see we've done a little bit more work on this, trying to add more coats and just kind of see where things ended up. And our results basically showed us that it's all really close, depending. There's just a little variations. Number 3, I did go back and review the footage. Number 3 was the one that we wanted, and that was the yellow mixed with the brown. And 1 is the brown, and 2 is the red mixed with the brown. So after seeing this and how it all looks, we decided to do some mad scientist work in celebration of the season. So here we have, I made a nice little thick batch of the shellac. This is experiment number 1, which is all brown, experiment number 3, which has the yellow, and experiment number 2. And I decided what I want to do. I'm just going to take this brush and put it aside for now. Actually, I'm going to quickly shellac this one because it needs to be, and it'll dry by the time I'm done. Because it does work better, we noticed, with the shellac as an underlayment, underfinish, just because it seals it and it stops the next layer from soaking in. So I'm just going to do this really quickly. Put a little bit more on there. Well, this doesn't really smell that much. It's just basically rubbing alcohol in on a paintbrush. So I've got the windows open, and I'll put a fan on as soon as I'm done filming. So there we go. I can see the sheen in the light. So let that dry. If I continue, it'll start to get tacky. All right, put that aside. Now for the fun. So here's my regular light pine. Now this one's not pre-shellacked, but just in case it looks terrible. So look at that. So I think that's going to work. I think that's going to work really well. So yeah, you can see that yesterday we did some of these pieces that were lighter, and even I kept a couple. So this one here has been done a little bit. I want to do it more. Once the bottom layers of the shellac sink in, the top layers get shinier, and eventually you end up with something that's really nice and shiny. So we're really excited. We think this is the right way to go. We're going to continue and let you know how it all works out, especially when we get the new woodwork. We'll have to do a segment about that. So I'm really happy about this. Okay, so I mixed up another potion. Recipe. This is shellac, just plain shellac. So no dye, no color in it at all. And the reason I did that is because I'm really getting the right color that I want, but I didn't really get as much gloss as I'm looking for. So you can see here, this one's pretty dark, but has no real sheen to it. So what I've done is mixed up just plain shellac to put an overcoat on top of the portion, on top of the pieces of wood that are too dark now. I don't want to add another layer of the dyed shellac because I think it will cause problems. I think it'll just be too dark. So this is a fresh brush, and I put just plain shellac on it. So the goal is that when this dries, it won't just dry matte finish, it will dry gloss finish. So we'll see how that works. Brush is a little bit dry. And here I don't have to worry too much. I don't want to do more than one coat at a time, because what's going to happen is it's going to pick up the old shellac that I put down already. It'll re-moisten it and start dragging it, and I don't want that to happen because it will just basically remove it from the wood and make it look light again. So this is not a dye, it is a dye, but it's not a stain. So it's not penetrating the wood, it's just sitting on top of. So one thing I did was I lightly sanded here to make it just a little bit lighter, because I didn't like how much it was there, but I could do that because it wasn't penetrating into the grain of the wood. So yeah, that's what I just did. And hopefully, well, still not quite as shiny, but it's also not darker. So that is good. You know what I'm going to do too? Is I'm going to put some on this one. Now this one is dry, but it's not shiny enough. So I don't want to put another coat of the dyed shellac on this one either. So we'll just see if I can get away with just a layer of plain shellac. So hopefully this will dry shiny. Let's see. I mean, it dries so quickly you can often tell if it's going to work. It looks nice and shiny. Yeah, I think that's going to solve my problem. And then here, hoping to get this one to be a lot shinier too. And it seems like I'm on the right path. Maybe a light sand with some steel wool, and then another layer of the shellac once this one's dry. And so it's going to take a number of layers and a lot of work to match the original finish that we're trying to get to, but I think it's well worth it. And compared to what we're trying to achieve, I think we're doing it right.
Hi.
I'm visiting Matt out in the backyard. He's been
Yeah, so I'm retackling, removing that baby poop colored paint off of the trim, since now that I know how well the shellac is working to get the color back, I thought I'd try again. But it's so hard to get this paint off. So some of them I can get it off pretty good, but with all the, texture, the scraper doesn't work so good. So I've been using paper towels to wipe it. But on some of these, the grain has risen because I think they got damp at some point. So we're going to have to go back in here and just sand it, which I had to do to some of the other ones too. I have to remember that it will come off eventually. And last time it took like 3 coats of paint remover. I just hate the smell of the paint remover. And it's messy. And it's cold out here. So yeah. I'm encouraged by how well that woodwork's coming out to get the rest of these window frames done. But it's so messy, and I've already used a whole roll of paper towels. And I need to go wash my hands, and I should be wearing gloves.
Okay, so I wanted to give you a close-up of the woodwork. Now, this is all completely dry. So I've gotten enough coats of the shellac on there for it to have exactly the right finish. And I think exactly the right color. Proof being that you really can't tell which of these this morning were light and which were dark. This one actually is one of the ones that originally was done. It just happened to fade differently. So there is variation anyway. But these 2 pieces, this piece are all done. These pieces are done. And this is an example of what a lot of the woodwork looks like after Matt finishes stripping the paint off. So this one, this morning, looked exactly like this one. This is raw, just sanded fully wood. This has 1 coat of the shellac on it. So it gives you a really good example of why we needed to do this dyeing process, because the shellac just isn't dark enough to bring you back to the original, or the patina that has developed on the woodwork with the old shellac. So what I'm going to show you now, this is the dyed shellac. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when we do this. So you have to kind of be quick, decisive, and remove puddles as they form. You only get a couple times to go across it, and I need to reload a little bit. Now the good thing is you can build it up. Hope I'm viewing this correctly. Sorry if I'm varying. You can build up coats and make it darker. And yeah, that's about it. So that's going to dry. You'll see all these lines here. The good thing is I can just sand that out with some steel wool and you won't even know it was there. So I'm going to finish working on this one. There's some puddles forming right there. Get rid of those. Yeah, so once it dries, I'll do another coat. We are both so excited about this. This is really working well. So I'm about to put the last last coat of the dyed shellac onto this board, And then the next stages will be, I'm just doing this for demonstration. So the next stage, I'll show you, is that I will steel wool this away. I will put a coat of shellac here to give at least one coat underneath the dyed part, so it doesn't just, it kind of does soak in a little bit. And it's not that I worry about it getting darker, it's just that it coats better. So I'm going to do that with the first layer of shellac, and then I'm going to put the second layer. But right now is what I'm going to show you, because the one layer, as you can see, is not quite as dark as the others. So I'm going to start here and show you what happens when you do 2 coats. So I'm going to pick up some of that, put it over here on the sides, and you can see how it's pooling a little bit. I can pull some of that out. Now I'm going to squeegee my brush a little bit and then see if I can pull a little bit more out. There's a little bit more pooling than I want. Cool. All right. So you can see here what the 2 coats does and how it is now a lot closer to the others, pretty much on target. So just make sure I get this edge. And that about does it. Very excited.
All right, we are in the house, we are in the den, and we've been working on the woodwork, and we just wanted to show you what we're starting with on some of this, some of these windows. So we have, don't mind the messy screen porch. This is what it was like when we moved in. Someone had painted over the shellacked woodwork, this sort of, I don't know what you would call this color. It's just not a very attractive color.
Pale mustard.
Yeah, mustardy, poopy. And it was, full of nails, full of little hooks and a mess. And this is what this is actually a window we found in the
top sash, yeah.
The top sash we found in the garage. Because it was totally broken out and boarded up. So this window needs to be taken out and reglazed and painted. All this woodwork has to come off and have the paint stripped off and then re-shellacked. So once we do that, I will show you what over here, what it will look like when we're done, because we have a window over here. Oh, don't look at my messy house. This one on this side is finished. So that is the difference. Reglazed and painted window frames. All the paint has been stripped off of this woodwork, and it has been re-shellacked with the stained shellac. So that's not too bad. What do you think?
I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited. And then we have ordered the wood to be made for these door jambs and stuff. And then over there is the other window that all the woodwork has been removed. And the window panes are out being professionally reglazed. That one I had done myself, so that's questionable. But yeah, so this is what it looked like basically a couple days ago. No woodwork, no window. And then woodwork, window. Yay! Shadow puppets. So yeah, we are in the in the middle of a construction zone. So,
but we're getting the windows all back next week.
Yeah, we're getting all the windows should be done next week, and then we just have to paint them, and then we can replace these windows. Excuse me, and the woodwork we ordered should also be ready soon.
Yeah, probably in a week.
Probably in a week or two. So we're going to be making some rapid progress on this stuff.
Yeah. And winterizing the house. Even.
And then we'll tackle the creepy monster ceiling.
So thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Life on Pumpkin Ridge. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share it with somebody that you might think would be interested in watching our little channel. And we will see you next Sunday. Bye.